Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a huge belief that pretty much shapes how we all plan for the future. We're calling it the retirement income myth.
So let's just jump right in with a question that might sting a little. Is that 401k dream you've been working toward, the one you've been faithfully feeding with every paycheck, actually just a fantasy? I mean, we all know the drill, right? It's been hammered into us for ages. Put your money into a 401k or an IRA, be consistent, and just let the magic of the market do its thing for 30, maybe 40 years. Simple.
And hey, if everything lines up perfectly, let's say you get a steady 8% return, year in, year out, for 3 decades straight. The math is pretty sweet. You'd end up with about 4 times the total amount of cash you actually put in. That's the best case scenario. That's the dream.
But you knew there was a but coming, right? This is where that dream gets a big old reality check. Because that perfect, smooth ride, well, it's pretty much impossible for most of us to actually get. Let's dig into why. The truth is, the market just doesn't go up in a nice, neat line. It's messy. And these huge drops, we're talking 20% or more, they aren't some kind of black swan event. They happen all the time, about once a decade. Think about it, 1987, the dot-com bust in 2000, the financial crisis in 2008, and again in 2022. These are features of the system, not bugs.
So, what's the real cost of these crashes? It isn't just the dollar value you see drop on your statement. It's the time they steal from you. We call these lost investment years. It's the 4, sometimes 5 years your money spends just fighting to get back to where it was before the crash. That's a half decade where you're not growing, you're just recovering.
Now think about what that does to your whole plan. You're planning on a 30-year runway for your investments to grow, but you hit a couple of these major downturns along the way, and suddenly your effective time for compounding interest gets slashed down to maybe 20 years. An entire third of your growth window just disappears.
So what does that do to our final number? Well, that rosy 4x gain we were dreaming about, it gets cut right in half. The much more realistic outcome, once you factor in the messy reality of the market, is that you end up with about 2 times what you put in. And that paints a very, very different picture for your retirement, doesn't it?
And believe it or not, this is all before we even start talking about inflation. As Mark Holbert points out, when you look at what your money can actually buy, the recovery from these losses takes even longer. After one bad run in the 70s, it took the market almost 4 years just to dig itself out of the hole in terms of real purchasing power.
Okay, so if the market is that much of a roller coaster, what about that other retirement plan that's been quietly running in the background this whole time? Let's talk about the, frankly, surprising value of Social Security.
You know, the biggest advantage Social Security has is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It's the match. You pay in 6.2% and your employer kicks in another 6.2%. Right out of the gate, from day one, your contribution is literally doubled. That's a 100% return before it even does anything else. No market risk needed.
So just how good of a deal is that, really? Okay, let's do a little head-to-head comparison. Let's imagine you took all the money paid into Social Security for you, your part and your employer's part, and you went out and tried to buy a private annuity with it. How would that look? The numbers here are, well, they're pretty eye-opening. For someone who paid the maximum into the system their whole career, that total pot of money would be around $1.3 million. Now, if you took that and bought a private annuity that's protected against inflation, you'd get a monthly check for about $4,671. But your actual Social Security check, it would be a little bit more than that, around $4,750 a month. So what this tells us is that Social Security gives you a payout that's just as good, maybe even a little better than what you could get on the private market. And it does all this without you ever having to worry about market crashes or paying some fund manager a fee every year. When you look at it that way, it's a shockingly good deal.
Okay, so this brings us to a really interesting idea that comes from all this analysis, a win-for-all proposal that could actually make the whole system even stronger.
The idea is actually really simple. Just let people voluntarily contribute more money to their Social Security. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why on earth would anyone choose to pay more in taxes?
Well, the answer is all in the benefits. For you, the person putting the money in, every extra dollar you contribute directly buys you a bigger guaranteed income for the rest of your life. No complicated funds to pick, no stressing about when you have to take money out. And for the system as a whole, all that extra cash helps strengthen the entire pool for everybody else.
So the logic here is pretty straightforward. This isn't about raising taxes on everyone. It's just an option.
It's a way for people to choose to buy more of what we've just shown is a really solid, stable financial product. It gives individuals more power over their retirement while making the whole program that much healthier.
So after going through all of this, what's the big takeaway? The idea here isn't to tell you to stop investing in your 401k. It's really about rebalancing our whole perspective on what retirement security is all about.
And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. Is retirement something that should be a personal gamble on the wild swings of the market, or should it be built on the bedrock of a social guarantee? Based on what we've seen today, it sure seems like having a strong foundation built on that guarantee makes a whole lot of sense. Something to chew on.